Hey guys, welcome back to Biscuits Total War. This is Biscuits giving you another online commentary for Rome Total War, and today we're doing a 3 versus 3 on the desert map for Rome Total War. I love playing on this map because it's slightly different to the grassy flatlands, and also if you do a lot of running around on the battlefield, it tires your troops out, so it kind of adds an extra element, an extra kind of thing in the background to be wary of when you're playing on this battlefield. So let's have a quick look to see who's joining me on my team, and then we'll have a look at the enemy to see what kind of units they've brought today. So I've been joined even by MGM, who's using the SPQR. MGM's gone for very much a standard Rome Total War build to 31k rolls. He has got one legendary first cohort, that is this unit here with the eagle on the banner. That's going to help boost their morale for their units. And then he's got 13 urbans followed by 6 Praetorian cav, which is the best cav units that the Romans can field, followed by the best infantry units that the Romans can field. So a really nice balanced 31k build, really nicely put together. And he's also got 1, 2, 3 units in loose formation at the front to act as a peeler screen, and that become more apparent later on in the battlefield. The next player we've got is from the IOW clan, and that's Bubbo, and he's brought the Seleucids, as you can see, and he's brought a bunch of pikes, one legendary, not first cohort, but a silver shield cohort, which is similar to these units. They're basically like this, a poor man's version of an urban cohort. They're not as good, they're cheaper, but they've got peeler and they're okay at the end of the day, but they're nothing spectacular. He's got one archer unit. I'm not too sure why he's brought one archer, because to be honest the Seleucid archers aren't particularly great. And then he's got 5 cataphracts, one as his general in the back here, and a scythe chariot unit. And you'll notice with his general, he's got his general in a normal formation opposed to wedge formation. The reason being, if he puts his general into wedge formation, the general will actually be situated right on the front of the tip of that wedge, aka like Alexander the Great. The only downside is if you go in for a cav charge, the first person who's going to die is going to be the first person on this wedge. So it's often a good idea not to put your general in a wedge formation. Anyway, so that's my allies, and I'm brought the Greeks, as you can see here, and I've just gone for really easy builds here. 20 Spartans, all gold attack, in a just standard little formation here, ready to take on the enemy. So talking about the enemy, let's have a look to see who we're going up against. We've got Lion Dwarf from the Brotherhood clan. Lion Dwarf has taken part in many of my battles. He's always a good sport, and it's always great playing against him. He has brought 3 Praetorian cav, and then the rest urban cohort. There's no point him bringing a bunch of cav units. He knows he's going to be up against me. He knows I'm not going to field any cav units. So the only reason why he's got a few extra cav units there is to assist his allies. So let's have a look at his allies. His allies have both brought the same Roman faction, and that's the Scipii. To me and you, that's the Blue Romans. And the 2 players you've got here is SkEma, and he's gone for 6 Praetorian cav, 14 urbans. So very much the basic Rome Total War build for Rome. And then we've also got COH member clan from the Piper from the COH clan. And again, very similar builds to MGM. He's gone for 6 Praetorian cav, 1 legendary first cohort to try and help boost the morale, followed by a bunch of urbans. So you've seen the enemy, you've seen what we've got. Let's actually get this battle started and see exactly what's going to happen. So first things first, opening gambit. What I need to do, as you can see, I've deployed further back, and that's so I can run my guys over here in a kind of a diagonal line to try and meet up with my allies. The plan was with the Seleucids were going to come and assist, and we were actually going to stick them in the center. So ideally what's going to happen is the Seleucids are going to run behind the SPQR and position themselves right here. I'm going to then come up to one of the flanks of the Seleucids, and hopefully what should have happened is that the Senates, the purple Romans, MGM, should have really just pretty much stayed still. But we'll see exactly what goes on. Often the most easiest basic plans never seem to work out, and you'll see exactly what I mean in a few moments. Of course, nice and straightforward. You think Seleucids go in the centre, I go on one flank, Romans go on the other flank. Once we're positioned together, then we can go and attack. The reason why we were trying to do that is that the Seleucids are the weakest faction on this battlefield at the moment. Although they've got cataphracts, and cataphracts are great for cav battles, excuse me, the infantry is pretty weak. The infantry is basically like a poor man's Macedon, a poor man's Rome. They're not really going to do too much damage, and that's the reason why when whoever designed the roster for Rome Total War, they decided to give the cataphracts really good stats, and that's basically to make up for the poor infantry that the Seleucids field. So as you can see here, look, my allies are running backwards and forwards. It's almost a good excuse to put on the Benny Hill music as these guys are going backwards and forwards, deciding what they're going to do if they're going to get into a formation. But I'm pretty sure anytime now they realise what they're doing, and I'm pretty sure they're going to come and just plonk themselves right next to my army. In the meantime, the enemy, which I'm really surprised about, I thought they might just zoom in there, go in for a quick charge, maybe try and attack us, whilst our formation is pretty shite. But they've taken their time, they haven't really played really aggressively, and that's given the Seleucids now time to get close to where my guys are, and it's now giving MGM, the Senate, now time to actually match up with his allies here. So all here now, we're all ready for the party, it's just all about to kick off. All we need to do now is just basically make sure we don't cock it up. We've already cocked up the beginning, let's not cock up the second part. So as you can see, the good thing about having these units at the front here, they're throwing their peeler into the wings or into the sides of the Senate of the SPQR. Now what Bubbo's going to do now is going to charge in his infantry, and I wasn't quite sure why he was doing that, but by doing that, what's going to happen is all of these urbans are just going to throw loads and loads of peeler into the Seleucids. By doing that, it's going to cause this unit to rout, and this doesn't surprise me at all. I'd get off this battlefield if somebody was throwing a shitload of peeler into my face. I'd want to make sure I'm getting the hell out of there and run back to Seleucia. In the meantime, myself and Bubbo are now teamed up. We're now kind of intermingled our units, interspersed between one another. We've got a really tight formation here, so no one's going to be able to punch any cabs straight through here. No one's going to be able to punch any urbans through here. The only thing they can do is go around the flanks and try and either destroy MGM or bring their cav around to my side. Now at this stage, if I was the opposition, I'd play really aggressively on this flank, because at the end of the day, my Spartans are far away at the moment, and there's also a bit of a gap kind of building up around here. The reason why I say there's a gap building up, all of these urbans have got a shitload of peeler. They could absolutely decimate these Seleucids. The Seleucids have got really poor shields. If you have a look at them, their shields are tiny. They're like basically like dinner plates at the end of the day. They're not really going to do too much defense against arrows, peeler, javelins. If you compare that to my Spartans, just look at the size of these shields. These shields practically take up the entire body, so if you're going to shoot them face on, you're not going to do too much damage. Anyway, so let's see exactly what goes on here. Lion Dwarf is now going to move his guys in to assist. I've seen that, so now I'm going to counter that. I'm going to charge in all of my Spartans here. So I'm coming in of two wings here, two waves, 1 and 2. And my third wave around the back here is going to come around the wing. And the reason why I'm doing that, look, all of their cav is far away here. I don't need to worry about the cav. I can now bring my Spartans around this wing here. Once I've got them around the wing, I can now encirculate them. If I can encirculate them, I can destroy them. If I can destroy them, I can win this flank. And that's what I need to do. I need to try and take out these urbans before these Praetorian cav come over to assist. In the meantime, I've pulled off some of my Spartans here to go and assist here, just to make sure that this gap doesn't break. And all of these Spartans, look, we've encircled them. Although the Julii are chucking in peeler, at the end of the day they're chucking peeler face on. My guys have got 2 hit points, I've got huge shields, they're not going to do too much damage. My spears are down, I've taken off guard mode, and it's nothing too fancy. All I'm doing is pushing forward, aggressively pushing through these urbans, and these urbans are dropping like flies. There's nothing much these urbans can do. They can stand there and get killed, or they can move out the way. They're deciding to go for the primary of those 2 options, and they're getting absolutely slaughtered at the moment. So because they're getting slaughtered, you can see, look, the allies of the enemy have now come back. They brought all of their cav around the side. And what they need to do, they need to come around. They can't just stand there. If they stand there at the back, that's just going to give me plenty and plenty of time to push forward. Now, one thing that has happened is you can see my units have actually gone past some of these urbans. So some of these urbans are actually now behind my lines. But Bubbo is going to do a really nice little thing here. Nicely spotted. He's going to make sure he goes in for a nice cav charge and takes out a couple of these urbans that have managed to get behind my lines. And that's because I've just been aggressively pushing forward. I haven't bothered about taking out these 2 units. So in comes a cav strike here. He hasn't gone too far, hasn't gone straight through my pikes, just enough to try and rout 1 or 2 units. And now that he's done that, he's going to pull back his cataphracts whilst I keep on aggressively pushing forward. The other thing that I've done, I've actually peeled off a couple of my Spartans here just to try and block this little flank here to make sure that nobody comes around the side here. Now, SkEma from the blue Romans here, as you can see, he came in with a cav charge, but then he stopped. What he should have really done there is probably gone in more aggressively. Because he's now pulled back, it's given me time to actually get my guys into a better formation. Now my guys are in a better formation, I can now make sure they're all spread out so that the Praetorian cav can't come in. And again, what's happened is Bubbo's gone in for another little strike here with his cataphracts. I've lifted up my pikes so we can just knock out 1 or 2 urban units. In the meantime, look, all of these urbans, there were 17 urban units, now they're practically being demolished, taken out. I don't understand this little move here. SkEma has gone in for a cav charge. I don't know if he's just trying to get rid of his cav, maybe he doesn't like his cav, but he's charged his unit straight into my pikes, and boom, that's it, that's GG. Those Praetorian cav, they're getting out of here. There's no way they want to stay on this battlefield, and I don't blame them. They've practically lost half of their cav units from that cav charge. Yes, 1 or 2 of their units have routed, and yes, some of them will come back, but that's pretty much going to be a devastating blow. Those Praetorian cav aren't going to be half as effective as they previously were. So now that I've managed to decimate and finish off the Julii here, Bubbo's going to come another nice little cav charge here. He's going to try and take out that last little urban unit, which just happens to be the actual general unit for the Julii. Now that that unit's gone, that's going to drop the morale for those urbans. It's going to make it even easier for me to take them out. So the enemy general has been slain. I'm mopping up this corner here. I'm getting plenty of help from MGM, plenty of help from Bubbo. We're playing well as a team at the moment, and that basically means that Lion Dwarf, the Julii player, is stuck on his own. There's nothing much he can really do. He's getting absolutely shredded by these Spartans, and he's been picked off one by one by these cataphracts. Now, Piper has come in to actually support his allies, and he's done a nice little move here. He's managed to come around, and he's routed 1 or 2 of the cataphract units, and now he's going in to try and attack some of the Praetorian cav. But his guys are encircled, his guys are outnumbered. Although they're doing quite a lot of damage at the moment, they're not going to be able to hold their line for too much longer, because we've just got so many units surrounding them. Over here, it looks like Piper's cav's now finished off on this side. Those Scythe chariots are doing really well here. They've managed to actually knock out one of those Praetorian cav units. Yes, Piper's got 1 or 2 units in the back here, and I was going to charge them straight into the Praetorian cav. But at the end of the day, he can charge in all the cav he wants to. We've got enough units to support now. It's just really a case of wrapping up the flanks here. Now, what do I mean by wrapping up the flanks? Well, I've won this flank battle here. You can see all the dead Julii units here. What I'm now going to do, I'm going to peel off all of my Spartans that have won that battle, and we're now just going to move them all around the back here and outflank all of these units. Now, I don't even really need to necessarily actually go in and engage. All I need to do is run my guys around the back here. As they run around the back, these units are going to be scared, because you can see if you just put my cursor over them, it says concerned about flanking, concerned about being flanked, and that's going to drop the morale. So look, bang, 1's routed, 2's routed, look, 3's routed down there, and all of the Scipii are now starting to rout. So we've finished off Lion Dwarf, who was the red Romans. We've finished off the middle player, which was SkEma, who was the Scipii player. The only player that's now left in the battlefield is Piper, and unfortunately Piper's going to get a last nail in the coffin here as MGM comes for a cav strike, and boom, that's gone straight into 3-4 urban units. It's taken out the general's routed, the general's gone, and that is pretty much GG. MGM's done a really nice move here and are holding back all of these units here. All he's done really is put his guys into the studio mode and put guard mode on. He knows that all he needs to do is just basically assist myself and Bubbo, and then we should be able to wrap up the flank, and that's exactly what's happened. So guys, that pretty much concludes this replay. Again, it gives you a good idea of how well things do, how things go if you really work together as a team. The opposition played well, but I didn't think they were aggressive enough. They had a few opportunities which never capitalised on. At the end of the day, let's have a look at the kills. I've got in 1,729 kills. My allies have got in just over 1,100 kills. Let's look at the enemy, and they got in at around 750 to 1,000 to 860 kills. So guys, I hope you enjoy that replay. Again, please leave a little comment. Let me know what you think of the replay. If you love Rome Total War just as much as I do, go check out some of my other Rome Total War videos. I've got plenty on this channel. In fact, the whole channel is dedicated to the greatness of Rome Total War. But in the meantime, folks, stay tuned because the next video will be coming up shortly. And again, I appreciate your time and I appreciate all your support. See ya and catch you soon. Bye now.